Hello everyone, it is Dylan from Yugioh Everything, back with another quick discussion video. This will probably be my last formal discussion video, probably my last formal video before we get some massive news this weekend at Jump Festa regarding most likely the new Yu-Gi-Oh anime. So I just wanted to make a formal discussion because so many things have come out, and so for the first half of this video I'm going to talk about Zarc. Zarc's effect as a monster has been released. I'm going to go over that, and I want to have a formal conversation with you guys in the comments below, so I hope you guys comment your thoughts as well. The second half of this video, I'm going to discuss rumors that are swirling around because the starter deck for 2017, which is going to be released March 25th, has been released, and usually the starter deck has the logo of the show that it's going to be about. For instance, Zexal had the Zexal logo, Arc 5 had the Arc 5 logo. Right now, the logo is the official Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters logo that was used throughout the original series and GX, so a lot of people, as you would imagine, are freaking out that maybe a Duel Monsters sequel, maybe a GX sequel is in the works. Could just be a placeholder, but I'll get into that towards the later half of this video. If you're more interested in that, I'll put it down below in the description what time I start talking about that, so you can skip right to that. But first we're going to talk about Zarc. So Zarc, he's overpowered, as we figured he would be. 4,000 attack, 4,000 defense, a Pendulum Scale 1 monster, level 12, Dark Dragon. And here is Pendulum effects. Fusion, Synchro, and XZ's monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. Once per turn, when your opponent adds a card to their hand outside of the draw phase, you can destroy that card. And its monster effect, you need one Fusion Dragon, one Synchro Dragon, one XZ's Dragon, one Pendulum Dragon. Kind of figured that was, actually we knew that was going to be the case. If this card is special summoned, destroy all cards your opponent controls, so then it can just have a nice easy 4,000 attack direct hit. Cannot be targeted or destroyed by an opponent's card effect. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon one Supreme King Servant Dragon monster from your main deck or extra deck. If this card in your monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place this in your Pendulum zone. And just so you guys know, we did get a few more cards. We got Supreme King Servant Dragon, which is a level 4 dragon monster, and we have, what's very interesting, is a 13 Pendulum Scale Supreme King Gate Infinity. We also got a 0 Pendulum Scale Supreme King Gate 0. So I'm not going to read you the effects of those monsters. I'll link all this down, mainly because I don't play the card game, so I feel like people have a lot more knowledge than I do, so all I can really do is read it. So I'm not going to read you those effects, but I don't think we've ever had, I don't think there is, you guys let me know please, a Scale 0 or a Scale 13 Pendulum cards that existed before these two, so that is pretty insane. It looks like this whole style is going to be an archetype, so I want to ask you guys, because you guys know the card game better than I do, we knew Zarc was going to be overpowered. We knew that. And the fact that he has so much additional support is going to make him a complete pain to take down. Who's more OP, do you think, based on these effects? Zone's Time Lords, Don Thousand's crazy chaos monsters, or Supreme King Dragon, Zarc's dragon, and these monsters that go along with it? Which ones do you think is more overpowered? I ask you guys, the great people of the community, because you guys know so much more than I do, so I am going to ask you guys, and I'll talk to you guys in the comments below. Excited to hear what you guys have to say about that. Also, thank you to everyone who sent me this information, like 10 or 15 of you did, and it means so much to me that you guys want to hear my opinion about these things, and I want to hear your opinion about it too. And while Twitter is a good way to talk, due to the 140 character limit, and I'm barely on unless I'm actually making a physical tweet regarding something, I just feel like the YouTube comment section is the best way to do it. So these discussion videos might pop up more frequently when more kind of breaking news comes out, but this is definitely interesting news, and we're going to move on to the other piece of interesting news, and that is this image right here, Starter Deck 2017, one pre-constructed deck of 43 cards, one rulebook, one special dual field / starter guide. And then the person on Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization writes, the product is not using the moniker of a new series, but instead lists itself as being Yu-Gi-Oh! Official Card Game Duel Monsters, a label that was used back during the times of the original series and GX, as well as legacy products related to them. And then, you have the italics. This may or may not mean anything of importance. So naturally, a lot of people are freaking out that a Duel Monsters sequel or a GX sequel could be in the works. Mainly a Duel Monsters sequel. I haven't heard too many people discuss a GX sequel. But you know what? Here's the thing, and I went over this with Atemi Yu-Gi-Oh! On Twitter. They've kind of been dropping subtle hints at a GX sequel. if you really think about it. And let me explain. You have Supreme King, Dragon Zarc, which is the main, I guess going to be the main villainous card in this case. Supreme King is obviously a term used from the GX era back when Judai became the Supreme King. You have Yuri, who used super polymerization out of nowhere. I mean, really out of nowhere. And that obviously was an element that was used along with the Supreme King, in the Supreme King arc, I should say, in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And also, you have a 20th anniversary pack coming out, which Judai's voice actor is doing. Now, it's not uncommon for them to bring back old voice actors, but I think it's interesting that this is all kind of starting to come together, along with the pendulum scales. Infinity and Zero are the two pendulum scale names of the 13 and 0 Zarc pendulum support. And those were also the trump cards of Darkness, the final villain in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Or not the trump cards, but the magic cards that he used, 0 to Infinity. So there's just a lot of interesting coincidences there. And I'm gonna say people I think are looking a little too much into it. We're gonna know for a fact in a couple days. So 2 or 3 days we will know what's going on here. It's funny because when I did my prequel sequels Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 6 video, the only sequel I did not want to see was Duel Monsters. That was the only sequel I didn't want to see because I just felt that story was told, that story was over, and without a Tem, I don't know how interested I would be in it. I mean, I'd still watch it, obviously. But with Dark Side of Dimensions as well, I feel like that show has gotten so much love and support, as it deserves to be, because it's Duel Monsters. It's the original Yu-Gi-Oh! It's gonna be forever the most popular and arguably well-made Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. But I am gonna propose, if you're gonna do one or the other, I would love to see a GX sequel so much more. I think GX, there's still a good amount to be desired. Or what about maybe a dual protagonist series where you follow Judai and Yugi? I mean, what do you guys make of this? What do you guys make of this? I do not think that they will do a Duel Monsters sequel. Maybe they will do something like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Generations where they follow a bunch of different characters from this time zone. Or the other thing, this is just a placeholder logo because they do not want anything to get spoiled. They do not want anything to get spoiled. It's also interesting to note that at this point, we usually, a week before, I did my research and we got Yuya's character design more than a few days before Jump Festa. We got Yuma's character design 6 years ago, more than a few days before Jump Festa. So maybe that's a sign that there is not going to be a new protagonist, and that just further enhances this sequel theory that we already know the protagonist looks, so why would they release it in a scan or something like this? Like, this seems like it would have been the time when we would have at least gotten the design. If you go by what happened the last 6 and 3 years with Zexal and Arc 5 respectively, we don't have any design. Now, is that cause for concern? It might be cause for concern if you look at it from the other end, that maybe there is not going to be a 6th series, or maybe they're going to just take a break for a couple years. Who really knows what the plan is? I hope that's not the case. What's interesting here is the release date is March 25th. That's usually when the current series ends, and the next week, the first week in April, is when the new series begins, so the timeline here makes perfect sense. Here's the thing, with a GX sequel, if you're a diehard Duel Monsters fan and you really want a Duel Monsters sequel, I think you could get on board with a GX sequel, and here's why. Because they can still use characters like Seto Kaiba. They can still use characters like Pegasus and Yugi and use them in arcs now and then. Like, the Duel Monsters characters can still be utilized. You can also, with the GX sequel, what that could do is at the end of the GX, whatever the sequel's name is, I'll call it GX 2.0 for the sake of this discussion, you could finally fill in the timeline gap that they said they would explain so long ago that it has never been explained. And what I mean by that is you could show an event at the end of this GX 2.0 that splits the timelines into synchros and 5Ds and splits it to Zexal with XCs. I think that would be really cool. I think it would be an awesome way to end the series and kind of fill in a lot of questions that we as fans have about the timeline. If they're going to pick one or the other, I really hope they go with a GX sequel. And I'm not hating on Duel Monsters. I know a lot of people think I throw shade towards Duel Monsters. I really don't. But I would also want Takahashi to work on that series, because that's his series. He's the one who created that series. He's the one who created this whole thing. And I just don't think it would be right for him, unless he really wanted to give the Duel Monsters characters to another writer. You know what I mean? Especially when in recent memories the writers, well, at least with Arc 5, have gotten a lot of heat from some parts of the community. So I just don't know. I don't think Takahashi would be back to write a new show. I mean, if that's the case, they're very desperate. That's what it would tell me. But we'll see what happens, guys. It's going to be a crazy weekend. Besides Saturday night, I'm going to see Rogue One with a few friends. I'm going to be up probably 24/7 the entire weekend waiting for news to drop, and I'll try to get videos out as soon as I can when we get news. Hopefully we do get news, and it's not like they say, yeah, we're going to take a break for a little bit. I don't see that happening. Duel Monster sequel, GX sequel looking more and more likely. Again, it could just be a placeholder because they don't want anything to be spoiled. But that to me it's hard for me to believe that, because going back 6 years to Zexal and 3 years to Arc 5, that wasn't the case. So why are they being so secretive about it now? Unless maybe it's going to relate to how Arc 5 ends, and maybe they'll continue with Arc 5, and that's why they don't want to show it. Because if they showed, let's say, Yugioh or something, then we'd know that Arc 5 is going to end a certain way. So who knows? I mean, and that's just something I thought of there. Maybe this is trying to hide how Arc 5 is going to end, and it'll be an Arc 5 sequel. Who really knows? The thing is, don't look too much into it, because we are going to get information about it in the next 2 or 3 days, so don't stress about it. But you know me, I love to stress, I love to discuss about these kind of things. So please comment about Zarc, comment about this information, all down below. I will talk to you guys in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you are excited for this weekend for a revelation announcement, hopefully about a 6th Yu-Gi-Oh series. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.